How do you choose the best Nikon camera? That depends on whether you are a happy snapper looking for simple point-and-shoot camera, an enthusiast keen to develop their camera skills, or an expert or pro seeking out the best full-frame Nikon DSLR or mirrorless camera. At the heart of the D750 is a 24.3 million pixel CMOS sensor and an XPET-4 processing engine. Unlike the 36MP D810, the new camera has an anti-aliasing filter over the sensor. This sensor and processor combination enables a native sensitivity range of ISO 112,800 with extension settings taking this to ISO 5051,200. It's also possible to shoot at up to 6.5 frames per second and record full HD video at up to 60p. While 6.5 FPS is a fair rate, some sports photographers may have been hoping for something a bit higher, perhaps 8 FPS or more, but then that could have meant a much more expensive camera. Videographers will appreciate the stereo microphone and headphone ports along with the ability to fine-tune audio levels in isolation before and during recording. It's also possible to select the sound range for adjustment and adjust aperture with buttons rather than dials for smoother, quieter operation. Wind noise can also be reduced when recording with the built-in microphone. The D750 is also unique amongst full-frame DSLRs currently in having a tilting screen, another advantage when shooting video in particular. When shooting in live view or video mode, there's a handy zebra pattern display to indicate on the screen which areas are in danger of burning out. The D750 can also output uncompressed footage via an HDMI connection to allow high-quality recording to an external device. Although there are two card slots, they both accept SD/SDHC/SDXC. One can be used as an overflow store or it can operate as a backup. Alternatively, the camera can send different file types to one card or the other. The Nikon D780 is designed for both stills and movies. By today's standards, its 24 megapixel resolution is pretty much baseline spec for a full-frame camera, but it does promise a good level of detail rendition combined with better high ISO performance than you'd expect from a higher resolution camera. It also keeps the cost down for enthusiast photographers and allows uncropped 4K video downsampled from 6K data capture. It's a well-planned modern evolution of existing camera tech rather than a bold new design. Nikon's XPET-6 processor brings faster data handling and improved image quality, while the autofocus technology from Nikon's own Z6 camera provides much faster live view focusing and 4K video, a big step up from Nikon's existing D750. We understand the D750 will continue at a much lower price point for stills photographers who don't need 4K video or fast live view AF. In fact, after using the D780 for stills photography, we were reminded how good the D750 was, and still is. The Nikon D780 might have the sensor from a Z6, or an adapted version, but it still uses Nikon F lenses. You can use these on a Z camera with Nikon's FTZ adapter, but you can't use Nikon Z lenses on the D780 because its mount is a lot narrower and its flange distance much longer, to allow room for the mirror mechanism. The D780 has the same 180K RGB metering and scene recognition system as the more expensive D850. It also uses Nikon's tried and trusted 51-point phase detection AF sensor, though when you use the live view mode it swaps to the 273-point on-sensor phase detect AF system of the Nikon Z6. This is a lot more sophisticated, and a lot faster, than the simple contrast AF system in the D750. The live view experience is made even better with the high-resolution tilting 2359K LCD monitor, with touch shutter release and AF point selection. This also offers wider 90% horizontal and vertical coverage than the viewfinder AF system, which uses a separate, dedicated sensor. Nikon isn't just trying to poach users of other brands with its Z-series mirrorless cameras. It also sees them as an effective and simple solution for existing Nikon users to migrate to a mirrorless system, or use a mirrorless camera alongside their DSLR for silent shooting, video and other tasks best suited to mirrorless technology. So although the Nikon Z cameras use a new lens mount, Nikon is also selling an FTZ mount adapter which lets you use any existing current Nikon lens without restriction. There are 3 new Z mount lenses available right now, but with the adapter you can use your existing lenses too. It currently adds around $100/$150 to the cost of the camera when bought as a kit, but for Nikon owners it looks like a must-have accessory. Nikon's created this new mount for a couple of reasons. One is that with no mirror to allow for, It's possible to produce a much smaller lens flange sensor distance of just 16 mm, compared to 46.4 mm on a Nikon DSLR. This means the body can be made much slimmer. This has also given Nikon the opportunity to make a much wider lens mount, which allows more advanced and wider aperture optical designs and a new, higher level of image quality. There is one limitation with the FTZ adapter. The Nikon Z6 do not have in-camera AF motors, so if you have older AF lenses without internal drives, these will be manual focus only, just as they are one Nikon's entry-level D3000/D5000 series DSLRs. The Z6 might be a cheaper alternative to the Z7, but that's not reflected in the build quality. It has a magnesium alloy body with extensive weather sealing and a 200,000 shot shutter life. Externally, it's indistinguishable from the Z7. It has roughly half the number of AF points of the Z7 to 273 versus 493, but they are spread across 90% of the width and height of the image area, so the coverage is very broad. The Z6 offers a choice of pinpoint, single point, dynamic area AF, wide area AF and auto area AF modes, though it does not offer the eye detection mode for portrait and people shots that Sony's been so successful with. The full-frame CMOS sensor in the Z7 sounds very similar to the one in the Nikon D850 DSLR. The difference here is that Nikon has built in a sophisticated on-sensor phase detection system. Its 493 phase detection AF points cover 90% of the image area and work in combination with a conventional contrast autofocus system. It's a pretty spectacular sounding setup for a first attempt at full-frame hybrid autofocus. Nikon certainly appears to have hit the ground running. Also new is an in-camera image stabilization system. This is another first for Nikon, as all of its previous interchangeable lens cameras have used lens-based VR. The Z6 and Z7 can still use existing Nikon VR lenses, and the two systems should work seamlessly together. The in-body VR, however, means that Nikon users will also get the benefit of the new 5-axis, 5-stop VR system, even with non-VR lenses. With the new mirrorless body design comes a new lens mount. At 55 mm across, the new Nikon Z mount is 11 mm wider than its Nikon F DSLR mount, and Nikon says this has liberated its lens designers, making it possible to produce new, more ambitious lenses and deliver a step up in optical quality. The flange to sensor distance is just 16 mm, which is a lot shorter than the regular Nikon F mount. This allows plenty of space for the new Nikon FTZ lens adapter, which can be bought separately or as part of a bundle with the new cameras. With this adapter, you can fit all 90 or so current Nikon lenses and get full autofocus and automatic exposure, and up to 360 lenses with just auto exposure. The new mount does not have an autofocus screw drive, so older AF lenses are restricted to manual focus, but this wide compatibility with existing Nikon F lenses will make it easy for current Nikon owners to migrate to the new mount at their own pace. So let's look at these specifications properly. First, there's the new sensor, which has an effective resolution of 45.7 MP -25% more than the groundbreaking Nikon D810. The D850 sensor has been designed with no anti-aliasing filter so that it can capture the finest possible detail. This is going to place heavy demands on both your lenses and your technique, as we'll see later. And then there's the maximum continuous shooting speed of 9 fps at full resolution, and with a buffer capacity of 51 uncompressed 14-bit RAW files. That is quite amazing, although here there are a couple of caveats. The first is that you need the optional MB-D18 multi-power battery pack and NEL18B battery to achieve this speed. Without the grip, the camera can only shoot at 7 fps, though that's still impressive for a camera that has this level of resolution. The second is that the quoted RAW buffer capacity is also a best case figure at 7 fps and with the right memory cards. The D850 comes with two very fast card slots, one for XQD cards, one for UHS-2 SD cards, and you'll need fast cards to go with them if you want to get anywhere near the quoted buffer capacity. And if you do get the MB-D18 grip and NEL18B battery for 9 fps shooting, you won't get the same RAW buffer capacity. And while the D850 does achieve an extraordinary blend of resolution and speed, it can't quite carry this through into a high ISO range. The new sensor has a back-illuminated design and gapless on-chip microlenses, but inevitably the photosites are smaller than the Nikon D5's for example, and the ISO range is lower.